All right, YouTube people, YouTube universe, where we got stalled out, removing this hole. So this from here, looks like over to here, from the top to the bottom. This is all, and underneath here, this is all air conditioning vent that we need to get out so we could put a nice little small vintage air that'll work probably twice as well as this guy, as long as I can manage to crimp the lines without leaving leaks. But yeah, so the idea was to try to remove this dash out of here, but we were hung up. I took everything off I could find from the inside, and then I was getting down to Sawzine. However, which is fine, we're not trying to save that air conditioning thing. I did really good to save the engine. Didn't strip a single bolt or have to cut anything to get it out. Everything is just boop, dropped right in there. No big deal. But that's because I think somebody should be able to use it. So this guy's got a couple bolts and stuff along here, along with this stuff here. So I think we're going to try to unbolt some of this stuff along the firewall, whatever this weird ground box is. I bet it's resistors for the injectors. You think maybe it's the ground resistor for the injectors, so they're running like high impedance but wanted to use low, or vice versa. I never can remember how that works. But yeah, this guy is good to go. We're gonna get with just removing bolts and stuff. Every once in a while you run across some odd things. So this is sitting on the back of the firewall in the Volvo. You guys might remember seeing it back there. As a matter of fact, you can look right there in the engine bay and you can see the little 3 bolts right there that this thing sat on, and it had this little ground strap to this brass bushing up there on that. And I was like, well, it's got to be some kind of resistor, some kind of, I don't know what it is, but it's got to be something. So pulled it off, and it's heavy. I mean, it's heavy. It's an easy, probably 5 pounds. Yeah, somewhere around 3 to 5 pounds. It's around that. So I was like, holy cow, this thing is so heavy, and I don't see any like actual ways into it. I mean, you can pop this container, and so I did, because inquiring minds want to know, right? What lays behind it. Oh, here's a little brass bushing. And the answer was nothing. There's just this hunk of like rubberized metal, as best I can figure, on the inside of this thing, and it goes to absolutely nothing. It is literally like just 5 pounds sitting on the dash. I have no clue. That's it. So any of you super smart Volvo guys know what this is, then let us know. I asked my car friends, and there was lots of good answers, as you might expect, on Facebook, such as ballast, and it stops you from doing wheelies. I thought that was interesting. I have never done a wheelie in the Wagon, therefore it must be this, and I should manufacture and sell these, because I see people at the drag strip having problems with wheelies all the time. So this is getting more and more terrifying. There's just literally wires everywhere, and the wire thing is beginning to plague me. I'm just thinking of all the problems that I may have with just these piles of wires and added on wires, etc. And there's wires just looped back. It'll be like just runs of wire back and forth, almost like a service loop, I guess. But you could just tell they just stuffed it places. So I'm really beginning to feel some stress over the wiring situation here. As you guys know, if you follow the Phoenix at all, I absolutely hate wiring. Side on the inside now. Boom, I'm in here with the flashlight, and you got half that box out. Like I said, I just sawzalled it right there, and yeah, it was working it through this wiring. this wiring was the only part we had to really worry about. And yeah, just more wiring and vacuum hoses, and it just gets more and more terrifying as you look at this. We're gonna try to get this chunk out of here now. All right, so we've made a bigger pile, which is good. Look at that. Got all this stuff coming out of the Volvo. Hooray, hooray. Getting that air conditioning unit out was more difficult than one would anticipate. It was like literally glued to the firewall, so that had to be pulled out, and then part of the firewall dampening thing was like clamped on it and then glued to the firewall, so that wouldn't want to come off either. So here is what we got on the inside. The you could see like right along the back there, it was like literally glued on the panel, and then the little rubber guy over here where the heater core stuck through was also kind of glued to those. At least we're in a good spot. We can start looking around and seeing how to put in the air conditioner unit and run it through the bulkheads, where to run our harness through. Yeah, a lot of stuff. So a lot of thinking. There's a lot of wires in that engine bay.